Welcome back to my podcast. Welcome back to Life Goes On. I am your host, Yana. And before I begin, please, what is this? Please, go to my Instagram and YouTube and Spotify and SoundCloud at Life Goes On. Well, Instagram is Life Goes On the podcast. I should have my brain foggy. My thoughts unclear. Because guess what happened recently? I broke this microphone. There was a little stand, you could see it, I could place it, but I can no longer place it because I came home at one night, wink wink, and I let it fall. It didn't even fall like off the table, it literally fell on the table. It just fell over, and that was its lifespan. And I will miss it dearly. I don't know how to fix that. I don't think it's fixable. I think this is what we're gonna have to deal with, because no way am I getting a new mic. I love this mic. First of all, it holds memories dear to me. I might buy like a stand that can clip or something. I shall see. That is my problem to deal with, and for you to judge me for it. Today we're going to talk about something really exciting, really fun, really fresh. I just can't stop thinking about it, and I was like, well, what am I supposed to talk about in my podcast? Ding, ding, ding. We're talking about this. But before we get into it, I had an exam yesterday. I was so stressed, I was lightheaded. I sat down. There were benches outside the exam hall, and I was talking to my friends before the exam, and I sat down on the bench and I stood up and I almost fell over from anxiety. So that was really fun and a really great experience to have. I'm really glad I had that experience. But eventually it went pretty well. It was my one and only exam, which, I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty good. Yeah, it went well. You know what? I just say it went well because I'm manifesting. I'm manifesting a very good grade. Well, very good is pushing it, but I am manifesting a good grade. I know I passed. It's just like, to what extent, though? Also, this is very ironic. I was going to talk about how the sun is finally shining, but the sun is not actually shining today, which is incredibly depressing because for 2 days actually, I was a very happy woman because I saw the sun. Really amazing stuff. But alas, we've come back to just regular Dutch weather, just regular programming, and I'm wondering when I will see the sun again. I guess the taxpayers aren't paying the sun to shine. It's a shame. Morbius is a terrible movie. In so many ways, I can't even begin. And it confused me. You know what confused me? It wasn't the fact that it was a terrible movie, because like any movie can be terrible, and Jared Leto was in it. But like, the guy from Chernobyl was in it, which I'm like, dude, did you really need to do that? Like, why would you do that to your reputation? You were in Chernobyl. Not only that, you were slaying in Chernobyl, and now you're here. How does it feel? The fall from grace. Not only that, but Prince Philip from The Crown, Matt Smith. Whoa, I'm so good. It's 2 first names. Matt Smith. Is it? No, it's not. I'm so sorry. Matt Smith was in it, and that really made me fucking angry. I was flabbergasted. I was like, you slay in so many roles, and you decided that this was the role for you. And not only that, it was the worst character in the fucking movie. There was no character development. The script was abysmal. The CGI, which that surprised me. The CGI surprised me with how bad it was, because it's made with like Marvel worked on this movie, and Marvel's CGI is not bad. Marvel's special effects are good. Like that's what makes Marvel Marvel. Like they're fucking superhero movies. Obviously they need good CGI and good editing, but for some reason they were like, no, we need to keep this for like another Black Panther movie. We can't put our money into this. And it turned into the worst. I wish I was on something. I genuinely wish I was on something while I watched that movie. I am so sad I watched it sober, because that is a movie you watch when you've just eaten a brownie, wink wink, and you want your brain to be so stimulated but you don't need to think. Perfect movie. It was so bad it was good, which I'm happy about, because there's some movies that are just straight up horrifying, but this one was, it had a redeeming quality in how horrible it was. It was entertainingly horrible, which that's the type of movie I always love. But speaking of movies, the fucking Super Mario Bros. Movie is coming out, and I am over the moon. Unbelievably over the moon. I don't know what it is about the Super Mario movie, but I need to watch it. It's out in cinema. I'm watching it. Parks and Rec. I'm also watching Parks and Rec right now because I finished Modern Family, which was depressing. I hate finishing shows. The only show I've ever watched multiple times after I finished it is The Office. I can genuinely recite The Office. It's like the Bible for me. I will watch that show over and over and over again. There's just this thing. If I'm going through a crisis, I'm watching The Office. There's nothing else you can do about it. And yesterday I was watching so much TV that I was asked by Netflix twice if I was still watching. Do I need to get checked out? Maybe. Perhaps. But I would not want to think about it at the moment. Okay. I think I'm good. I think I've covered everything, because to be honest, I haven't been doing much. Exams is what I've been doing. I am so excited to talk about this. Okay, here's the gist of what's going on here. So, I am in a TV show. I'm in a possible TV show, because this TV show we're filming the first 2 episodes as pilots, and then we're going to send them out to companies and see if it gets picked up. That's the situation that we're in. So it's not like an actual like on-air TV show, but it could be, which is incredibly exciting. And you might be asking, Yana, how the fuck did you get into this situation? Let me explain. So I was in a theater association in my city. I wasn't really getting much out of the theater association because they weren't doing much theater. I thought I was gonna be acting with them, and instead all I got was like pub quizzes, and that's fun and everything for bonding, but like you're a theater association, people should act, people should do more improv, people should do more like maybe do like a stand-up night, like something that has to do with performance, stage stuff. So I felt like I wasn't being fulfilled by this theater association, especially since it's a paid thing, so I'm paying to be there, and I didn't feel like I was getting my money's worth, and my expectations met. But they sent out a text, and they were like, hey, we know this guy who is currently looking for cast members, actors for his new TV show that he's planning to make, and they just sent us the link to sign up. And I was like, oh, this sounds fun. And basically what it's about is it's a murder mystery, and the time and place is kind of fictional. Like, it's supposed to be a 20s type show, but it's the way that they talk and the way that they act is very modern. So like it's very like, you know, kind of fictional timing, but I love it. It's so like gothic and over the top and dramatic. And it's about it's about this. What should I say first? Okay, I'm actually going to talk about the audition. This is a very just act like I never said anything. Well, don't, but do. So I go into the audition. Um, I have a script, blah, blah, blah. I say my lines. The auditioning process was really fun, actually. It was very interesting because I've never acted in front of a camera before. I've been acting since I was a child, but it's always been theater and like audiences are in front of me instead of cameras. And I do remember I did have like camera training during that like theater school experience when I was really little, but obviously you don't really remember much. So but that was it was a fun experience. But you know, it's like you're really young, you kind of don't really remember. So I never really had true camera acting experience. And during the audition, it was filmed. But honestly, I think because of this podcast and also because of the fact that I managed to kind of disconnect myself from the audience anyways when I act, I felt like the camera was just another human being in the room, if you know what I mean. And I regard like it's not like I ignore audience members because obviously I care about the audience, but it's more like in order to get out of my head, I tend to kind of shut it out and kind of act like I'm, you know, the character instead of somebody performing in front of an audience because that kind of freaks me out when I really think about it. Like if you think about it for too long, it freaks me out. So that was really interesting. And the thing was like you audition and then they ask you to do something different. And that like I've learned throughout time that that does not mean that you're doing it wrong or you did something wrong or it didn't work. It's more like, oh, I want to see it in this perspective or I want to see it done like this. It's kind of them just giving suggestions because they themselves want to see how it's going to work. And sometimes when you write a script, you don't really realize if it's actually going to work out the way you wanted it to, and sometimes you try something different and it works better. So yeah, they asked me to do it a couple times in different ways. And then I just honestly did it for fun because it felt fun. And I always like to do these types of things like auditions and small things like that to keep up with my acting, but also because it's like a hobby and like a skill that I want to continue growing. But also because like I want to kind of get used to auditioning because that's pretty much the most stressful process of doing something like this is the auditioning process and being like, oh my god, are they gonna hate me? Are they gonna love me? Am I gonna portray the character like they wanted it to be portrayed? So I always like to kind of desensitize myself from the anxiety of auditioning, and it went well in my opinion. I was like, I didn't hate my performance. Like it wasn't anything that I specifically thought like, oh, I fucked up on that or I didn't do that correctly. I was pretty much content with my audition. So I went back home and I wasn't really expecting anything, or even if I was expecting something, I was expecting to be like a side character. I didn't feel like I don't know if I like resonated if I was the person they wanted for the main role or like the main roles. So I kind of just expected to be like a side character. And I was fucking down for that because obviously like I just want to do something cool for once in my life. But yeah, so I go home and they're like, oh yeah, we're going to contact you in a couple weeks to tell you if we decide that you were right for the roles or not. And so they contacted me, we had a call, and he was like, hey, bestie, we want you to be the main role. And I was like, LOL, seriously? I was not expecting that, to be honest. I was very happy, but it was also kind of anxiety. Like, I was happy because I did it the way they wanted it to be done, and you know, it kind of it's a way of like boosting your ego because it's like, well, you might think you're a good actress, but other people might not think you're a good actress. So it kind of validated that I still had it in me. But yeah, so I was also kind of anxious about it because it is a big commitment. Like when you're the main character, God, I hate TikTok has ruined everything, hasn't it? Like you can't say main character seriously anymore. You know, it's a big commitment because you're there for pretty much every single shooting day and you're there for pretty much every single scene, and you have a lot of fucking lines that you need to memorize, and it's gonna take a while and it's gonna be really stressful. So he like the director made sure to tell me like, look, this is not easy. This is a big role, and it's a very difficult role. Like, it's a very complex character, with a lot of emotions, a lot of conflicting emotions, a lot of conflicting reasoning, very weirdly socially inept type thing. A bitch, but I find the bitchiness the easy part because, duh. Um, God, my brain cells are not brain celling. But I said, fuck it, like, it's gonna take a lot out of my time, but I was so excited that I even get the opportunity to do this that I was like, let's go. I mean, let's go. And I clicked with the people that we were auditioning with, so I felt like, I was gonna like my time there, regardless of how tired or how stressed I was gonna be. When you have a good support system, it's gonna make it much easier. And I just wanted that experience because it's important to get as much experience as you can. You don't have to be in a fucking Marvel movie to make it worth your while. Like, this, every single experience is worth it, and it teaches you something. And I was like, I want to be taught something. I want to learn my lesson. So I agreed. And let me tell you about this show. So, my character, basically, it's about my character is this very rich artist, and in this really depressing city, to be honest. But we're in the Netherlands, so we can make that work with the weather. And the lighting is actually perfect here for this show. God damn, it's just gloomy. It always. We're filming in April. Gloomy. But yeah, she's a really rich artist, and she has been locked in her house, kind of like self-induced. She locked herself in the house to work on this statue, this big exhibition to show the world, or the artist world or whatever. So finally it comes to the exhibition, and she invites all of the biggest, brightest, richest artists to this exhibition, and she's like having this big speech, and she's like, I'm so proud of my work. And finally it's time to reveal this big art piece, this big statue. So the doors open behind me, and what do you know? There's a dead body on my statue. Everybody gasps. Like, girl, what do you mean? And this dead person is one of the artists that I invited. And I was like, where is she? Like, the whole time I've been like, where is she? We found her, sadly. And so everybody kind of thinks it was me, even though that kind of doesn't make any sense. Like, why would I just be like, hey guys, I killed someone? But I get really pissed, not because somebody killed somebody I know. I don't care about that girl. I make that very clear. It was more because she ruined my reputation. I'm like, I hate that girl because she died on my statue. Like, what is this? Who dared kill this girl and put her on my statue? That ruins my reputation. So I get really pissed. And I find this failing journalist / detective, and this other artist kind of like forces himself in our team, and us three try to go around and find out who the murderer is. And along the way, we have like conflicts with other characters. It's so fun. It's a really fun story. And when I was reading the script, I was like, good. It's kind of like comedy / drama type thing, but it also has its like sentimental moments. It's a very well written show. And I did want to talk about more about the director and his experience, because he's been thinking about this for years. He's actually himself a young college student, and he was always passionate about this, and he started writing it a couple years ago, and he started saving up like since 2018 or something, and he finally got all the funds that he needed. And all the crew members, like, they know each other kind of thing. They've worked together before, so they all kind of came together. And they're all just such amazing, talented people that know what the fuck they're doing, and that are so passionate as well about this. And just seeing all that passion in one place is so inspiring. This isn't a paid project, and a lot of people have asked me like, oh, are you getting paid for this? Because it's a lot of time I'm investing and a lot of effort I'm investing, and they're like, well, what are you getting back? Are you getting paid for this? And no, I am not. Because first of all, that's unrealistic for this director to not only pay for all the venues, all of the equipment, all of the everything, food, everything. He just doesn't have the funds to pay the actors, and he made that very clear at the beginning. I was not under the impression that I was going to get paid. I didn't care about getting paid. Like, that's what I did it. That's why I did it. It was a voluntary project that I could be in. But in a way, I don't care at all that I'm not getting paid, because to me, I'm getting paid with experience, and I'm getting paid with like this beautiful thing that we get to make together, and I'm getting paid with fulfillment. Plus, like, I have a job. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, sure, I'm a college student as well, but I'm in this really privileged position where I can say that I don't need to get paid for this. I have a stable financial situation right now, and that allows me to do the hobbies I love without having to get paid for them. I can invest this type of time in things instead of trying to get money, kind of thing, which I'm incredibly grateful for, the fact that I can just be like, yeah, I don't mind not getting paid. But it's also a thing where you have to see it from the director's perspective and be like, well, if I was in his shoes, I wouldn't be able to do this either. He's also a student. He also is investing time. He's been saving up for years. And for him, it's like, well, you have the money for all of this. There's plenty of passionate people that want experience. And it's better to just like start as soon as possible, because the whole process is so fucking long that you might, if you want to pay your actors, you need to wait years, or it's a genuine thing that you need to invest in from a company, which is why they're sending it to companies, because if they want to continue, they don't have the funds to continue the whole show. So if they want to continue this show, they need investors, they need people with the big bucks to like help them out and pay the actors. So if it does get picked up, which will be in a very long time because these processes take so long, but in that case, if I get recast, again, such a long process, you have to re-audition and everything, then I will get paid. But that's, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's like a hypothetical. We don't know if this is actually going to happen, if it's actually going to work. I'm very like, I am very hopeful, and I genuinely think it will get picked up, because it's an amazing show, and from the things that I've seen on the camera and the shots and the scenes and the chemistry between the actors, it has a very, very, very high fighting chance to be loved by a company. But it is something you have to think about. Like, you can have an amazing show, but it still might not get picked up. It's just inevitable sometimes. Doesn't mean that the show is bad. It just means that there's fucking competition out there, and you never know. So it is, exciting. But I think I want to talk about the filming process, because that's what, like, that was this weekend, last weekend, this weekend, the previous week, the weekend that just went by. We did our first shooting weekend. We filmed for the first time. I got into costume, makeup, hair, everything. Seeing it come together was unbelievable. Obviously, beforehand, we continue to have regular rehearsals, because obviously, we need to figure out how to do the scene, if this works, because there's not enough time to figure out a scene during a filming day, because we're already taking so much time doing the shots that we need to have the scene down before, like, the acting down, and like the choreography of the acting down before we start shooting. Otherwise, it's going to take way too long. And so we've had like regular rehearsals, seeing if the actors go well together, seeing if the scene works, if we need to change anything. And I think what I love about this process is that I also get to be creative, and I also get to have my voice. Because if I feel like, hey, this line doesn't come out right, or hey, I feel like this would work better, people listen, and like they actually listen to me. And it feels like such a collaborative thing where we all kind of talk about our own opinions and we're not afraid to either agree or disagree or say something else. And it's a very supportive environment. And like we also got like some camera training during those rehearsals, which was very important. And during the rehearsals, like we do the scenes so many times that you learn the script, and then during the shooting day you're good to go. So it really does save a lot of time. Even though it takes kind of more time out of your schedule, it ends up saving so much time during the shooting days, which are already super tiring as is. And it would just make it so much worse if the scene isn't properly being focused on in that way. And we also had costume fittings, which was really fun. The costume designer is unbelievably cool. I've never met somebody that cool in my life. She's the coolest person ever. Obviously, she designs costumes like Queen. But yeah, she's so fun, and the costumes are chef's kiss. Genuine chef's kiss. I can't believe how amazing the costumes are. I should have pulled up photos. Maybe I'll insert some photos during the editing process. But yeah, the costumes are super cool, not gonna lie. And I'm literally brain fogging right now. During the shooting days, what I noticed was I love this. I did have a little bit of an anxiety attack during the first scene we shot, because I was really nervous. First, like I got super anxious right before, like while we were shooting, because I was like, oh my god, what if I fuck this up? What if I don't do it correctly? What if they hate how I'm doing it? What if I like what if? And it was really a really weird feeling that I haven't had in a very long time with acting, especially. I usually don't really care. It's one of those things that I should be anxious about, or like other people would be anxious about, but I get more calm when I'm acting, and I can actually get out of my head when I'm acting, which is why I've done it for so long, because it's like a coping mechanism almost, or like a nice hobby to have. But in that moment, I was super anxious, and I think it was just like an overwhelming thing of finally starting the process and realizing, oh my god, this is actually happening. With like the big cameras and the boom mics, and everything was new. And like, you know, when you get into costume, makeup, hair, it's a very quick process, because you want to start shooting as soon as possible, and a lot of people are stressed around you, and it just creates kind of, for a moment, it creates an environment of stress. It wasn't stressful all the time, but during those like critical moments, it did get quite hefty. And you know, everybody's touching you, like not in a weird way, but like in a, hey, I need to put your costume on type of thing. And you know, they have to like adjust things. And then with makeup, you know, somebody's touching your face for like 30 minutes, and hair and everything, and you just feel like poked and prodded, which I didn't really mind, to be honest. But at the same time, it is a new experience, and it was done so fast that like I was like from one place to the other all the time. So I think it was just like unexpected, overwhelming feelings. But I got over it. After the first scene, everything seemed to fit together, because I knew what I was expecting later on. And it did get much better. But the days are long, but they feel so short. The good thing about this is that when you have a good team, and I think this makes the world of difference, when you have a good team and you have a supportive team, you are just ready to go all the time. You have the energy like nothing else. I have unbelievable energy every time I go into like the venue or wherever we're filming. I'm just excited because everybody else is excited, and I know that there's no like high expectations for me. Like, they're happy with my performances, but they say like, hey, if you need a break, take a break. If you need to calm down for a moment, calm down for a moment. If you need to drink some coffee, if you need to go inside, like, just tell us. Or if you have any like anxieties or thoughts, just tell us. And that type of supportive environment really helps ease a lot of the nerves. So I'm very grateful that the team itself is good, because that's in the film industry, that's not always the case. Most of the time it's not the case. Most of the time you won't get along with a lot of people. But in this case, everybody's kind of, they've worked together and they're friends. And I feel like the passion is there. Um, and so it just works, and everybody works together, and they really know how to collaborate. And like, I guess, ooh, this is funny. You have to wait a lot and expect to wait for, because they have to like set up the scenes, and expect to do a scene with 30 people around you every single time, and doing it multiple times. If you think you've done this scene once and you're like, oh, we're done with the scene. No. You wish. You wish. You wish. Because if there's 3 characters in one scene, you're doing this at least 4 times. One time from one perspective, second perspective, third perspective, and then with all of us in the shot, and then maybe with like a different shot, and maybe, oh, let's try this shot. And then we're not done yet. If somebody's putting down something, close up, putting down, do it again, putting down. Oh, the camera's unfocused, putting down. Like, you feel like a robot, you feel like a machine, you feel like a sim. It's so funny. Like, obviously this was like expected, because the good thing about everything was that they told me up front, like, look, this is gonna be really fucking annoying, and you're probably gonna want to die for like a couple times during the filming process, because you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. But it's just something that happens. It's inevitable. This is camera work. We need multiple shots to make this work. So I'm definitely like, it happens. Sometimes you forget your lines. You have to do it again. It's fine. The good thing about cameras is that, first of all, you can fuck up. You can forget your lines and just say line, and they'll cut it out. You can, it doesn't feel, you can like start from a certain point. You don't have to do the whole monologue. You can start from a certain point. In theater acting, it was a lot more, and I think I'm glad I did that for so long, because I'm so used to learning lines perfectly and used to doing things perfectly the first time, because you only get one shot. So it did train me in a way for camera acting, and it does make the process go by faster if you have that type of experience. But, you know, just expect that. I think also what's nice about camera acting is that if the camera's not on you, you don't have to make it, you just have to say the lines. You can even hold the script in front of you. It doesn't matter. Or you can like put a blanket on if you're feeling cold, and you can just chill. Like if the camera's not on you, the camera's not on you. So that really saves a lot of energy, because doing a scene multiple times to its full extent is a very, very exhausting process. It's mentally and physically exhausting, especially if it's like a heavy scene. If you have to be really emotional, or if you have to be really angry, or you have to be like all of these things, like it's heavy, it's exhausting. So it's really nice that, you know, when the camera's not on you, you don't have to do that every single time, and you can keep your energy so that you can do better in other scenes. Plus, what it's really good about the ordering of the shooting days is that it's a mix of a big scene, which takes a very long, like hours to film, and then small close-up shots, or different like small scenes with almost no talking, or no talking at all. And that really helps, because, for example, you do the big scene around morning, afternoon-ish, so that you get it out of the way, everybody's still energetic, and then either later on or very early morning, you do like the easier scenes, either to ease you in or to let you have your peace after you've done a very long day of work. So that definitely is important to have like good planning and a lot of people to plan. I guess yeah, make sure to get a lot of food and caffeine in. You might not be like doing push-ups or walking 20,000 steps, but it's taxing. It's physically and mentally taxing. And if you're not taking care of yourself, or if you're not feeding yourself, or you're not getting enough energy in, you're going to be dead. Like, the good thing about the like team is that the producer's mom has a like Italian restaurant, so she is providing catering for free, which lovely, but also Italian food, super filling, really good pasta, pizza, sandwiches. Like, we're getting fed, and like we need to get fed. Like, these are long, taxing days, so make sure you always have something with you. If there's no catering, make sure you have food with you. Make sure there's just something that can make you energetic, except like substances. Don't do that. Just do something healthy that makes you energetic. Yeah, I usually don't go to the gym those days. First of all, because I have to be there early. Second of all, because, hello, I'm trying to keep my energy. Just make sure you take care of yourself, especially getting good sleep. Please get good sleep. And damn it, I wanted to talk about something else, but I forgot it. Oh, yeah. I, this, like, I think one of the most fulfilling things about this whole process, and is that, like, people are happy with my performance. The producer and director are very happy with how I portray the character, and every time I do a scene with the character, like in character, I feel like I connect more and more with the character. And I'm not saying that I'm becoming a bitch, but in a way, like, I understand her motivations, and I understand her thinking process, and I understand how she would react in a certain situation. And it's really rewarding to feel so connected with something and to feel like you're doing it right. And like, in a way, you are part of realizing somebody's dream, somebody's passion, somebody's work that they've been working on for years. It's unbelievably fulfilling and makes me so happy to be able to work with somebody and like make their dream come true and make my dream come true. Because when you work on a project like this, you fall in love with the project yourself, and it's unbelievable. Like, I was scared that I was gonna hate it, to be honest, because I'm very used to theater acting, and I was like, what if it's too different? What if it's too difficult? But actually, like, it's unbelievable. Like, I genuinely fell in love with it, and I'm like, why would I ever do theater again? This is amazing. And the way that the camera picks up shots, the way that camera and lighting and all of these different like tools can work together to make something amazing. Like, you don't see how it looks unless you look in the camera and you're like, holy shit, that's an amazing shot. How the hell did you do that? Like, it's so cool. The whole process is just so cool. I'm geeking out about it every single time. I'm just like, look at that shot. It's just incredible. I think it does feel weird seeing myself on camera, but over time you just kind of get used to it. But yeah, there's not much I still have to say. I'm just happy and I'm just excited, and it just makes me very fulfilled, and it's something I'm so proud of. And I'm proud of everybody there. Like, they are amazing, talented people with so much potential for greatness. So it's very humbling to be working with such talented, passionate people. It inspires me so much. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you enjoyed my ramblings about acting and TV. And I hope that it gets picked up. I hope that one day you can see it if things happen, and I can show you guys what I've been working on. But for now, I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast, and I will see you next week, and I love you.